Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to understand a very important concept or a very important service basically, which we can use it for our application configuration, etc. So let's understand this. So the name of the service is AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store. So this is basically a parameter store, okay, and it is part of the AWS Systems Manager, one of the services which is under AWS Systems Manager, and it is called as parameter store. As name suggests, you can add any parameter and you can have a key value kind of thing, okay, and that you can use it in your application or for your any configurations. Now why do we need this actually? Just understand, let's first understand this part. See, if I am having my Spring Boot application or any application for that matter, right, I have certain parameters, like those parameters could be like db host, db url, the logging levels. There could be parameters like your Kafka brokers, etc. Whatever it could, there could be certain flags based on your application, certain environmental variables, etc. Suppose my db host, etc. changes, correct? Or say if I'm using Kafka, say my Kafka broker servers have basically, now the servers have been basically, say my Kafka brokers, they change, okay. Say I was using earlier some other broker server, now I'm using some other cluster. So in that case, what will happen? Say if it is tightly coupled with your application, still it might be part of your environmental variables only, but still you will have to create the build, do the redeployment, and then you can basically pass that new environmental variable. Point is, you will still have to go through that cycle of redeployment. And when we say redeployment, it is like most of you would be aware what is redeployment and what is the pain with that. The pain is, even if you're not changing anything, even if you're changing one simple environment variable, basically you will have to go through the complete cycle of dev testing, UAT testing, prod testing, etc. Plus you will have to get the approvals, you will have to create the you have to get the sign off, and all those troubles are there, right? I mean, it's a small thing, but still the process is very big, right? So to avoid that, what is the thing that we can do? Actually, we can move this complete application configuration, whatever we are passing as environmental variables, right? You can pass it to some other service which is completely centralized and it is completely out of your application. It is not your purview. Basically, application is just going to refer that particular service, get the values of the environmental variables, and then just use it while starting the application or during the runtime of the application. Parameter store, it's a completely independent service which is just going to store the parameters, and then any application can actually create the parameters what it needs, and then based on that it can actually access it and use it in their application. So that's the whole goal of the parameter store. So hopefully you understood the importance of parameter store and why it is required. If you understand this, then the service is very simple, it is quite straightforward. Now let's understand what is this AWS Parameter Store. What are the features that AWS provides? So just understand this very important point, that first of all, it's a centralized configuration where you can completely manage your parameter. Manage, when we say manage, basically you are storing it, you can retrieve it, okay. Then you can give the labels, you can give versionings, then you can edit it, you can delete it. So all these kind of services is possible in the parameter store. Plus you can give this hierarchical plus you can give this hierarchical naming structure as well. So that is also important, and this is useful in these cases, right? Say this is my application, and then I have three environments, correct? Now each of these environments will have different host, username, and password, etc. Right? So my dev will have its own parameter store, test will have its own parameter store, prod will have its own parameter store. So this is also possible. So in your basically systems manager, if you go in systems manager, okay, first you go to systems manager. In systems manager, in your application tools, there is this option of creating the parameter store. And if you go here it is very straightforward. You can just go here, you can create your parameter. So say like I create parameter like, I'll just take my app slash dev, and take slash app name. Okay, description is optional. See, there are three types of data types basically. You can have a string value, you can have a string list. When we say string list, it's an array basically. It's an array of strings. And then third one is the secure string. So here you are storing your things like password, etc., or your keys, etc., that you might store, the access keys, etc. So for that you can use secure string. So secure string, you can do the encryption using your own account or the other account also. And basically using the KMS key, which is the key management system provided by AWS. So either AWS, you can use the key provided by AWS, or you can even use the key which is customer managed, basically your own key. So yeah, that is also possible. Now first we'll just create a very straightforward simple string. Okay, I'll take the data type as text. Okay, and say I'll give this name as my application. Will not add any tags. I'll just create a parameter. See, it is so simple. So you can see it is like in the path based structure. So this is like the root thing, and in the root, after root, basically you will have this my application, dev, app, and name. Straightforward. Now I'll create few more, like after app name, I'll take version, and a version is also a string, like v 1.0. I have this app version also. Now I'll create, I'll say allowed file types. Okay, allowed file types, and this time I'll use a string. So I'll say JSON, XML, and Excel. Okay, these are my allowed types. Now see here you can see I've provided comma separated, but it's a string list, and I'll just create this parameter. Okay, now if you go inside this, to open this one, here you can see the value is comma separated value. Here you can see single value, so that is your string. Now I will create, I'll just take db, and I'll take password, and I'll take secure string. Since it's a password, right? So I need to make sure that it's a secure string. Nobody can read it. I mean, it shouldn't be stored in a plain text. That's very important. So this is the option that AWS Parameter Store provides. So this is the third option that AWS Parameter Store will provide, which is secure string. And I will say my DB password 123456, something like that. And see here it is using the KMS key. So this is created by AWS itself. I'll just show you. So this is part of your key management service. And if you go here in the AWS managed keys, so this is the AWS SSM. So this is the same thing which is being used here, alias slash AWS slash SSM. And if you look into this key, so this is the key that we are using. It's a symmetric key. So when I say symmetric key, basically for the encryption and decryption, this same key will be used. Okay, so that's your symmetric key. And if you look at the key policy, right? So this is just interesting to see the key policy here. In the key policy, I'm allowing all the principles. I'm allowing all the principles. Or what all actions I'm allowing: encryption, decryption, re-encryption, generate data key, describe key, etc. on all the resources. Now condition is very important here. So this is where I am saying caller account. So basically my account. If it is my account and service is SSM, which is your parameter store, only then basically it will allow all the principles. So any principle, if it is trying to use this key, it will be only allowed with the SSM service and for my account only. So this is important. And then the other one is about the metadata of the key, and this is only allowed to the root account, only root account, and that too of my account. So this is the key that will be used, and then we have already stored this value. And if I just create this key, and as you can see, I have all the, and these are my parameters. And if I see here, by default, it will not show the value for your secure string. But if you do show decrypted value, it will show this value. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll retrieve all the values from of these parameters using the AWS CLI. Okay. So let's try that out. See, using AWS CLI, this is AWS SSM. This is basically your command. Okay, AWS CLI command, AWS SSM. SSM is basically for your parameter store, and then you can use this particular method, or you could method which is put parameter, and these are the parameters, okay, of this method. You provide the name of the parameter, then the type and the value. So the way we created on the console, same way you can create only using the CL. What I'm doing is AWS SSM get parameter. So this is if you want to retrieve the value of a single parameter. Okay. Now the application name is my app. Just check the case here. Okay, case is very important. It is case sensitive. So it is like my app slash dev slash app slash name. And if I run this here, you can see I got the uh, name, basically the value for my parameter. And in this AWS SSM get parameter, and if I use the name of the parameter, say my parameter name is my app slash dev slash app slash version. So this is the another parameter which I had created. And if you look at the output, so I got version v.1.0, v1.0. So I'm able to get the values here. And now let me take another value which was allowed file types. Here it is giving me this value, JSON, XML, and Excel. Okay, and it is telling me that it's a string list. Now we'll try to retrieve the password parameter, right? So this is the password parameter that we'll try to retrieve. Okay, let's try this out, how it looks if I do a get parameter. As you can see, the value is in the encrypted form. Okay, so it's an encrypted value, you cannot understand. But how do I see the actual plain text, or what is my actual plain text? Okay, so as you can see, if I use this option with decryption, right? So by default, with decryption is false. So when I don't provide this option, so you get the secure string value in the encrypted form, and here I can get the decrypted value using with decryption. So this is the important part. Okay, so this is how your secure string works. And now let's do one more thing. We'll try the versioning part. Okay, now let's see. Okay, I'll just open this parameter. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit it. See, when I edit this value, the existing value, so what will happen? It will not update the value. It will create a new version. Okay, so let's check this out. If I go to application name now, I will see the new value. So this is my latest version. And if I go into the history tab, here you can see there is version 1 and version 2. By default, the value that you see is of version 2, which is your latest value. Now you can do one more thing here. You can provide labels as well. Say I make it as prod. If I go here, okay, as you can see, there is a concept of label as well. Here, the advantage, we'll try to retrieve these version values. Okay. Now suppose if I do a get parameter, okay, let's do the get parameter again, and this time I will take app slash name. Okay, I'm not passing anything now. If I retrieve the value, so I get the version 2, which is my latest version. Okay, so if I want to retrieve the previous version, okay, previous version value, so what I will do is this is my name, the parameter name, this is the complete path, and then colon 1. 1 is my version. If I do this, so I will get the previous value, the version 1 value. Okay, so this is how you can retrieve the old value. And say if I refer it like this, colon prod. See, when I say colon prod, it is pointing to version 2. So here you can see my label for version 2 is prod. Okay, and if I do previous prod, then I will get the value of version 1. See, but by default, just note that if I don't provide anything, by default, the last updated value will be taken. Okay, that's the important point. Now, another important point is the one that we saw right in AWS console is the standard one. Okay, so if you see here, I create my parameter slash demo slash dev slash test. Here it is giving me two options, standard and advanced, as you can see. So by default, we are going with standard because advanced is a paid. You'll have to pay some extra charges. Now, what is the difference between these two? So advanced basically you have higher number of parameters. Like it is mentioning here, you can store up to 1 lakh parameters. Here you can only store up to 10,000 parameters. Okay, so in your account, basically, this is the configuration that will be at your account level. You can store up to only 10,000 parameters, and then you also have the option of cross account sharing, which you don't have here in the standard. Okay, so if the parameters created in my account, I can share it with the other accounts. Then the parameter size, it is only 4 KB. Here it is up to 8 KB, and here there are no charges. And here there are two more things which it supports, which it is like expiration. So you will get notification and expiration and no change notification, etc. So these notifications are also provided in the advanced option. But then just note that it is a paid thing, and this will be used obviously in the enterprise applications because these things are important in the enterprise application. As far as our individual usage is concerned, I think standard is good enough. So this is about the standard versus advanced parameter. And then one more important point is you can control the access using the IAM permissions, etc. That we'll see when we do the actual example using the Spring Boot application in the other video. The powerful AWS service which you can use. You can keep your configurations and other informations outside of your application and retrieve it from this parameter store. And basically, this is like completely decoupling. I mean, this is another way of decoupling the system, right? And another way of decoupling. This is another way of decoupling the system. And so this was all about the AWS Systems Manager parameter store. Next video, we will take the example and try to use it in the Spring Boot application. Thank you so much. Have a good day.